Hey there, ladies and Germanies. Welcome back to the Hogstye. We're certainly glad to have you. Are you mentally recovered from last week? If not, come on. It's time to take off the pajamas and put on your big boy and girl pants and get ready for Sunday's big matchup against the Giants. We're here to help you along the way. So don't go away. The game preview is coming up next.
Welcome to the Hogstye with your crew, Alex Zeese, Steve Thomas, and Robbie Duncan. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, I'm here. It is
Why do
I.
bad
one
things
more.
happen to good teams, Steve?
Well, you know, I hate to say this, but we have not been a good team. We have not been a good franchise. So I think the fundamental basis of your question is a tad flawed because you're making an assumption that the Redskins are a good team. In fact, we've been a terrible franchise. We are just digging ourselves out of a hole and trying to become a good team, and we have made progress. So there will be missteps along the way, such as a disaster against Pittsburgh and a massive egg laying against Dallas. But it will get better.
Oh, okay. Hey, Alex.
Yes, Sean.
Does God love Redskins fans?
Sean, there is no God. And that was proven last week when we lost to Dallas.
Oh, okay. Hey, Robbie.
Yes, Sean.
Is the universe real, or are we just test subjects in some twisted, perverse cosmic experience meant to test the limits of human suffering?
You know, that's an interesting question because I have a very good theory on this. We'll talk later.
Oh, okay. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Certainly glad to have you. Sorry to hit you with those really deep intellectual questions, but we got to ask the big ones first.
I must point out that Sean is now in Colorado, hint, hint.
Yes.
Which
Oh,
may
yeah.
be driving some of these weird questions he's asking.
Oh, you're
Sean,
blowing up my spot, Steve.
drop some acid, go out to the Garden of the Gods, and just sit there for a little while till sunset, man.
I
That's
tell you what,
all your questions.
You
I
should
tell
have
you
asked
what,
me.
man. It's tough being a Redskins fan, man.
It's the fun. Yeah, man.
You should have asked me the universe question because I would have told you that our universe is a locker.
That's
in a
my
big room.
That's my Chong impression, by the way.
That was not bad.
It was pretty
It
good.
was okay. It was pretty good.
No one do
Yeah, I
a Cheech
don't
impression. We might get,
Yeah,
Called out.
I almost did it. I almost did it.
Wait, before we get into the game preview, Steve, what was your theory?
was
I
gonna
liked
say
where
my
you were
theory-
going with that.
Yeah, my theory with the universe is our universe is in a little tiny locker, locked up, and then the monitors of the universe are these really big, tall green aliens who are stomping around and who are much, much taller than us.
I loved
That's my
Men in
theory.
Black, by the way. That was a great movie.
Oh, the best one.
The
It wasn't
original.
Yeah,
Black.
the
That was
first.
my original thought, Robbie. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So, okay.
See, I just think we're like a particle in Chris Baker's jockstrap, you know? You know what I mean? Something like that.
I don't know. I don't want to know what that means.
I don't know. Hey, nobody else has a better explanation for all this. Anyways, folks, we won't waste your time anymore. Let's get into it. Guys, are you ready for this matchup against the Giants or what?
No.
Sure am.
Are we going to win this fucking game or not?
We need to. This is if now's a good time to call Code Red because if you go 0-3 right off the bat, then it's really tough to climb out of.
Not even
Uphill
bad.
battle.
It's 0-3 with 0-2 in the division and 0-2 at home.
Yeah.
That would
yeah.
really be bad.
Well, the 0-2 at home we can't do anything about this week. I mean,
Yeah.
No, I mean it's
yeah.
done. I mean the point is there's 0-3 and then there's really 0-3, and we would be in the really 0-3 category.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
You want to talk about just like about how hard it is to be a good team, or at least for this Redskins team, or I guess how envious I am of other teams.
Absolutely.
Sure.
As we speak right now, the Patriots are winning with the third string quarterback, but up by 10 points on the Texans, and it just makes me sick.
Pretty
And you know
cool
who their
bitches.
backup quarterback is tonight? Anybody want to take a guess?
It's Julian Edelman.
It is.
Oh, my
Julian-
God.
They're
Really?
going with what's the guy's name? Driscoll, Robbie?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Like
He's from
Something
he was from Louisiana Tech, I believe.
Really?
Right.
So they're going with some guy named Driscoll and then a wide receiver as their quarterbacks, and they are winning
Yeah.
against a
Makes me
playoff team. They're winning against a playoff team.
Well, when you have a regime that's been in place for 15 years, that's drafted well, and you have a coach who, let's be honest, he's probably the greatest in-game adjusting coach there is.
I would agree with you.
In terms of adjusting how the team is, going to play each week, given on who's on the field. I mean,
it's a master strategist.
Wait, Alex, what's that A word you're saying? I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Wait, you mean my name A or adjustment?
Adjusting.
Adjust.
What is that?
Well, Robbie, if you're like feeling sweaty in a place, you reach down, you move something over, and then you adjust.
Oh, I just did that 5 seconds ago.
Do you think the Redskins know what that is?
I do not know. I don't think they've heard of it.
Real quick before we get started on the preview, I would just like to point something out because this got a bunch of attention on Twitter today. Last week on last week's show, Alex and I had a conversation in which we, in a joking manner, pointed out that the Team Griffin, Team Kirk guys were still warring, and it was ridiculous that if you're bashing Kirk Cousins at this point and you're rooting for him to fail, either you or I said, you're not real fans, and we ought to just discount them.
That sounds like you, Steve.
I think I said they weren't. I think I said they weren't fans, and you said let's just discount them. I think is what happened. But here's the point.
Okay.
Here's the point. I don't really care if you out there don't like that statement. I fully support. I stand by what I said. Mm-hmm. I do think if you're rooting for Redskins players to do badly because you have a grudge against another player that was cut a year ago, you need help, and you aren't a real Redskin fan. So I'm doubling down on my statement that apparently ticked everybody off.
Yeah, we need the silent majority of listeners to the show to help us stand up and stamp out these retards that get up here and say silly shit like that. If you listen to the show and you don't comment on Twitter, help us out, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think certainly we're all Griffin fans on this show. I was probably maybe the biggest one, but the man is gone.
A Griffin fan.
I like Robert Griffin. We're not going to get into that now, but point is, he's gone. Let's root for Kirk Cousins to do well, please.
Thank you. That's my opinion on the subject too. I like Robert as much as everybody else did, and then now he's not here, so I'm rooting for the quarterback that's here now.
Yeah,
nothing we can do,
but.
Well,
I don't like Robert anymore because of the off-the-field stuff that he did this offseason.
Well, that's fair too. But anyways, rooting for the quarterback is a great segue to actually start this preview. So my question then would be, what are Kirk's prospects this week? How's the intrepid Giants defense stack up against Mr. Cousins' very clear shortcomings through weeks 1 and 2?
The thing that worries me when I'm looking at Kirk this week is his history versus the Giants, and that history has not been good in the past.
The Redskins' recent history against the Giants in general is not good. I feel like
we did own them last season.
That's true.
We swept them. I feel like that was
Kirk had a lot of struggles before last season versus the Giants. I think some of his worst games were versus New York.
We won the last game 20-14, which was the end of November game.
Right, which by no means is a blowout, but if we can do something like that this week, I'll be very happy.
Well, let's start you guys off with some stats. Because we're talking our offense against their defense. Now, the Giants' defense last year was an abject disaster when it came to pass defense. They were historically bad. They gave up over 4,700 yards of passing in a single year. They made every quarterback look like Peyton Manning. They were just horrible. And so the Giants spent a ton of money and draft picks and everything. And so far this year, the results have panned out fairly well. They are 9th in the NFL in points surrendered. They're 8th in total yards surrendered. They are 2nd in passing yards per attempt. They're 14th in passing yards. And so their pass defense has improved dramatically, at least through 2 games, one of which was against the Saints, who are by anyone's definition, an explosive offense. And the other game was against the same Cowboys that beat us and put 27 points up on us. They scored 19 against the Giants. And the other thing about the Giants is their run defense has been outstanding for 2 games. 4th in rushing yards, 7th in rushing yards per attempt.
They can just go ahead and leave that at home, Steve. Who cares about that? I mean,
Well, but in terms of Cousins,
don't even bother.
The Giants haven't been put a lot of pressure on people. They've only had 2 sacks. But I think if we're expecting the Redskins to just put up 400 yards passing on the Giants because of last year, you guys are sorely mistaken because they are much better, thus far at least, than they were last year.
I think the running thing is what worries me because we desperately need to get the run going, and the Giants have just been incredibly stingy. Now, granted, even though I know Dallas put up pretty good numbers against us, nothing about their run game was that impressive, on an individual level. And
they ran better when Alfred was the running back, I thought.
Yes, they did. But I'd also say the Saints historically you don't think of as a great running team either.
No.
So
very true.
That could be playing into the Giants' stats. We're still early in the season. Stats, they're tricky at this point.
Well, I'll say this. Against the Giants, Julian Edelman, we were just talking about Julian Edelman. Ezekiel Elliott, averaged something like 2.6 yards a carry.
Right.
Against the Giants. Against us, he was up over 4. So
sure.
Is he a world beater? No, but he was a lot better against us than he was against the Giants.
Right.
But
which
that tells
could also
me
be the fact that our defense is bad.
Well, our defense is bad. I mean, there's no two ways to say it.
Right.
But point is, I think the Giants really, truly are fairly stout against the run, even understanding that the Saints aren't going to run the ball very much. That's my point.
Right.
In terms of Kirk, I'd like to get Robbie's opinion from a football X's and O's standpoint as to there's been a lot of attention on Kirk Cousins this week. This season he hasn't performed well.
No.
Overall, what are you seeing in Cousins?
I just see him like his old 2014 self. The panicked, scared-looking, nervous wreck that he showed when he came in for Robert back when it happened. Like that first Giants game, or even the not last year's, but the year before that. Right, that was 2014. I'm going crazy, but
that's all right.
Anyway, the bad performance he put against that Giants game is what I've seen in him these first 2 weeks. It's just he looks terrified. He looks afraid to make a mistake. I think my assumption here is that he's actually pretty worried about his contract, and if he makes a mistake or does something wrong, that it's going to affect that. Maybe not, but it's. Sorry, I got distracted.
That's all right.
That's my fault, Robbie. Sorry, you're on a roll. I apologize.
Yeah, good job, Steve. Way to text a guy while he's in the middle of a rant.
I sent a little internal message in the middle of Robbie's rant. It totally threw him off. I didn't mean to do that. My apologies.
I saw it in the corner of my eye. But yeah, it's just he doesn't look like his self from last year. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look confident in what he's doing. He's locking in on receivers too much, especially Jordan Reed. That's his favorite target, but leads to a lot of mistakes because of that. So he just needs to get his head out of his butt and see the field and actually, make accurate throws. Because going back and watching the game when I was doing the O-line breakdowns this week,
right?
Yeah, watching that Doxson throw again, that should have been a touchdown. He threw it too late, too much air on it. Doxson had to slow down to catch it. He should have been walking in for a touchdown. Same for Crowder. I mean, you can't miss those throws. Those are throws that, in the NFL, if you don't hit it, you're going to be hurting. So, right. He needs to just get his confidence back.
Is Kirk Cousins just has he defined himself by just shaky starts to seasons? It seems like he starts seasons and people are kind of down on him, and then he gets kind of hot towards the end, and we sneak into the playoffs, and we kind of forget over the offseason that there was ever any doubt.
The problem is
he's only got hot once.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, he's only got hot once.
Well, it was enough to think to distract people from the reality of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
I told you guys from a statistical standpoint, he's just not going to duplicate on a regular basis what he did at the end of the 2015 season. Because if he did, he would be the greatest quarterback in history. Those aren't going to be his norms. It's like when the baseball player hits 450 for a month and they come crashing down to earth and they get back to averaging 280.
Then you're like, what's wrong with him?
Right. Well, nothing's wrong. That's just his average, and that's kind of what Kirk is. To add
I think that's the most accurate description of Kirk Cousins, by the way, that's out there right now. I think we just hit the fucking essence of the thing. But go ahead.
You hit it out of the park.
He hit 450 last year for 8 games, and he's really a 280 hitter, which is good but not great. But to add to what Robbie was saying about him, what I saw in addition to what you were talking about is he's not throwing the ball very well.
No,
his footwork's off, but he's not driving the ball well. Like I watched the last Sunday night game was Green Bay and who'd they play? Green Bay and somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And there was one play where Aaron Rodgers hadn't been playing well himself, but there was one play in which Aaron Rodgers rolled right, and he's scrambling, and he drives this ball 50 yards into the end zone off his back foot. And now the ball was incomplete because the defense was there. And I was thinking, right now Cousins can throw that ball if there was no pressure whatsoever, and drive it like Rodgers did off his back foot on the run.
Right.
Well, I don't think Cousins.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just said I don't think Cousins is throwing the ball very well. In addition to not seeing the field, in addition to playing scared, he's just not throwing. He's not getting any velocity on the ball
for whatever reason.
But yeah, he's not been throwing. He's not been driving through and planting his foot to throw. He's been thrown off his back foot a lot.
Right.
It's really bad technique or like quarterback mechanics that he's not using. It's basic stuff that he needs to get back to fixing.
And here's the thing that's interesting to me, because I've been reading your breakdowns, Robbie, and other guys, Bullocks, and just looking all over the place. The O-line has protected him really well throughout this whole thing. He should not feel nervous about the pressure he's getting at this point, because he's not getting much pressure. We're seeing the line play as good in terms of pass blocking as we've ever seen it.
And last week's run blocking was really good too.
That's what I was going to say next. The running game's been decent for our, by our standards, which is
but you gotta,
great.
Let's stop right there.
And the running game has been open. The
running game has been decent by our standards, but the reason for that is that the sample size is so small. It's kind of renders it almost meaningless. We've had 29 rushing carries, and of those 29, one of them was a Kirk Cousins scramble for 8 yards against Dallas. And then, how many carries does Chris Thompson have now? 10, maybe, something like that.
It's been Matt Jones and Chris Thompson the whole time. Right. Rob Kelly has not gotten one carry yet.
My point is that Chris Thompson
that he wants to get Kelly in there.
Chris Thompson is skewing the average up a little bit too. The truth of the matter is that Jones was horrible against the Steelers, and he was pretty good in limited carries against Dallas.
I wouldn't say
he maintain that.
Well, you can't really label him as horrible just because he only got 7 carries. You need a much bigger sample size to really say,
you're right. You're right. I just meant maybe I phrased it badly. I didn't think he played well. He ran the ball well in limited carries against the Steelers. He was much better in his opportunities against Dallas.
My point about the run game this year is last year we were seeing guys getting tackled in the backfield almost every other run that we'd attempt. And at least now we're seeing them get some kind of yardage. Even if it's just 2 yards, it's so much better than seeing them lose 3 yards on a rushing play all the time.
Well, bringing this back to Kirk Cousins real quick, I mean, if Tom Brady or Peyton Manning can maybe win you a game without hardly running the ball,
right?
But
Kirk can't.
any other quarterback has to have an effective running game, or at least one where you run it enough to take to slow down the defense's pass rush here and there. I mean, if they're straight passing the whole time, like we've pretty much been doing, I mean, they're just gonna pin their ears back and go at it. I mean. Luckily, our pass pro has been good enough for Kirk to make throws. Problem is, he's just not executing. But with a good running game, it slows down the defense. It opens up the play action, which is what he needs to really do well. The rollouts is what he's really good at.
Yeah.
I think so. And I think there's Brady, and there's been years when Aaron Rodgers hasn't really had a running game. But that's not what we have here. But I think at this point we have to talk about the play calling. Because it's exactly what Robbie's saying. I mean, Kirk Cousins needs a run game. It opens up, passing lanes, exactly like everything Robbie just said. Now, our run pass distribution has gotten a lot of attention in the local media this week. And we're basically at a 75% passing right now. We've had 89 pass attempts, 29 rushing attempts.
Yeah,
that's unacceptable.
It's complete, and the 29 rushing attempts, incidentally, is last in the NFL. In total number of rushing attempts, we're last. And I realize Jay Gruden isn't much of a running coach, but we just cannot exist. We said this 2 weeks in a row. I mean, we cannot succeed without running the ball.
No, but he's a non-running coach who got rid of his best running back.
Well, currently he's the least running coach in the NFL.
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's not a guy who has any propensity to do it, and he doesn't have anybody who can do it.
And being down in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games probably also makes him not want to run the ball.
Yeah, but he abandoned. I think I
got there for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I undersold. In our last game recap against Dallas. I think I undersold how early he did get away from the run, because I said, our run pass balance was better, and it was better in the first quarter. But the truth of the matter is, as soon as the third quarter happened, it was it.
Yeah.
It was basically pass all the time, and the game wasn't out of hand. You have to mix it up. It's okay to run on first down sometimes. If it's 3rd and 2, it's okay to try to run for the third down.
Unless
for the
you're
first
using
down.
your little scat back who can't break a tackle and fall forward.
Blame the guy who put the team together. For that one.
Somebody get it under control.
Yeah.
So the question then, I guess, if we want to switch off to the other side of the field,
think
but
so.
I have one more. Actually, I have 2 more points to make real fast.
They better be real fast, Steve.
They are real fast.
Steve can't make
Red
that
zone,
now.
Steven.
Red zone efficiency, 30%. 30% of our trips to the red zone result in touchdowns. That's 28th in the NFL.
That's what
Third down conversions, 35.4, 19th in the NFL. Those 2 stats show why we're not scoring a lot of points.
Well, those stats will go up and actually become points if we stop throwing the fade.
Yes.
I was wondering when that was going to come up.
I'm serious. I mean, it's okay to throw the fade every now and then when you have that matchup you look for.
Yeah, if you can do it.
But if you throw it 3 straight times, they're going to know it's coming.
Right.
If they see you looking at them in pre-snap, okay, here I go. I'm going to throw it.
Right.
Oh, they covered it. How did they know it was coming?
You know what also isn't a good idea? Going to 5 wide when you're in the red zone. You take out half of what they think you might be doing.
See, and I don't have a problem with that, though, because it spreads them out and makes them – they can't load the box and try to create pressure, because if you bring more than you can cover with against a 5 wide in the red zone, someone's going to be open. And, there's a hot route, hot, quick read to throw it to if they bring a big blitz or with a loaded box against a 5 wide. I don't mind that. It's just the fades. Gruden and McVay love the fade, which
it never works. Never works.
And by the way, there were
it's rare if it does.
There were clips coming from practice today about the fade. They were trying it with Pierre Garçon, and it's all incompletions. It was sad.
Well, they can practice it all they want, because that's it's a normal route. It's part of the route tree and all that stuff.
That.
Yeah.
But they need to change it up in the red zone play calling wise, because that's the biggest culprit is the play calling.
Well, and the thing is, it's okay to run the ball when you're in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't have to take 3 shots in a row and then kick a field goal.
Yeah. Or
we have
3 shots
running
in a row
backs.
and one's an interception.
The Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers had a beautiful play against the Vikings in the red zone. It was on the 2-yard line. They motioned Jordy Nelson over, and he acted as a blocker for 2 seconds, and then peeled off in the flat. Boom, wide open touchdown. You can be creative. You can give a heavy run look like that and then pass it. You don't have to spread it out. You can just got to be a more diverse attack than just 3 straight fades.
Yeah.
Well, and I think,
Amen.
to be fair, I think Cousins took the blame on one of those calls last week and said that he audibled out of a run. But the point is, they did it. I don't really care how it happened. They did it.
It's like me playing. It's like me playing Madden. This is my last thing. It's like me playing Madden, and I'm trying to force a touchdown to one of my receivers. I want him to score. I'm gonna throw a fade because he's 1-on-1. Oh, it didn't work. I'll throw it again. It's the computer. I'll score on him. This isn't. It's not Madden.
Right.
Is basically what I'm saying.
Well, absolutely. I mean, to switch over to the other side of the ball, I guess I would just looking at the rosters, the depth chart. I mean, the star power on this team is obviously on the offense. I'm talking about the Giants, obviously.
Sure.
Not as many big household names on the defense. I mean, I was going to ask you guys
But a lot of money on that defense.
Absolutely. But I was, I hate to bring us back, but I was going to ask you guys real quick. Who are you most worried about facing on the defense? Who's your worry spot?
Well, I mean, come on, isn't it? This is the Josh Norman, Odell Beckham Jr. game.
Well, no, I'm talking about their defense, though. That was my question. Sorry, I was taking us back to deep. I was regressing us. I should have done.
Olivier Vernon.
Keenan Robinson, because
I was
going to
say
he
Keenan.
just talked.
Oh, my brother. I was so glad Keenan came up. Yeah, I mean, he's second string, I think, but hopefully we see him. Then you got three-fingered JPP, and you got Landon Collins, the man who would be a Redskin.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Landon Collins is their leading tackler.
Yep.
Incidentally.
Yeah, he's. I mean, look at him go. Maybe we should have thought about that. Every time we see David Bruton running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
That guy needs to be on the bench as the backup strong safety behind Duke Iheanacho.
How about
it
I don't
really
even want him as backup?
Preach that shit, man.
I'm just
Awful.
he's not doing very well at all. And Duke, as you can see, even in the practice clips, he's getting interceptions, he's making plays. It boggles my mind that he isn't the starter right now, or wasn't already.
I told you guys
the
why Bruton's playing. I told nobody listens. I told you guys it's a salary thing. It's they want to get their money out of him. It's simple as that.
Well, that is total bullshit because you're putting money over talent.
Winning. Fuck that. Fuck that.
I don't disagree with you, but that's why Bruton got the starting job. They paid him to be a starter, and that's why he started.
I would have Nacho in there, and I'd have Fuller or Dunbar in there for Phillips, because that guy is beyond useless in terms of covering receivers. Here's the thing that I'm really worried switching to our defense. We finally hear they want to start moving Norman around, and he's going to shadow Odell Beckham, unless he's in the slot. And who's in the slot? Our weakest players every time. The slot, whoever's in the slot, we don't seem to put good guys covering the slot.
Let me mention that too, because I got a little bit of heat for him not making my final 53-man roster. But Deshaun Phillips, I guess I forgot about him for a reason, because I mean he's not very good.
Well, because Robbie, when you were looking, he was 10 yards behind everybody else.
Well, yeah, I don't understand why he's starting either. I mean, we got a guy that's much more talented than Kendall Fuller,
right?
And we got.
I don't know, but is he ready though? Kendall Fuller didn't impress me too much.
I don't care if he's ready. He's got to be better than that.
Fuller flashed to me. He made some really good plays. I mean, he wasn't perfect. I mean, he wasn't like, man, this guy needs to play right now. But he showed things that where it's there's stuff to build off of. Like I mean, I think if anything, you bring in Quentin Dunbar or Greg Toller on the outside and put Breland at the nickel. You know, if you really want to do that, let Breland work his magic as a nickel corner.
Yeah.
You know, let him.
Well, he'd really get his shorts all twisted up if he threw him in at nickel. You know, the team's already apparently sensitive to his feelings as it is, which is, by the way, absurd. You know, the story that came out of Redskins Park this week was that Joe Barry did not want to have Josh Norman shadow Antonio Brown because they were worried about Bashaud Breeland's feelings.
Good God.
Well, boo-hoo. I have, in all my years of watching and playing football, I've never heard any coach ever be concerned with the player's feelings.
But that's why you have Breland and said, "Hey, this is a story," and Breland's like, "What?"
Yeah. If that's true, if that's really true, that's really bad.
No,
that's
I'm
really
99% sure that was leaked by Joe Barry to cover his ass. That's where I'm at.
Well, let's talk about the big Beckham v. Norman matchup.
Fight,
because that's the highlight.
Fight.
Yeah.
Fight. Yeah, say it with me, Alex.
Fight.
Obviously, there's a history between these two players. You know, dating back to last year when Josh Norman was with the Panthers. He and Beckham went at it. I rewatched the film of that tonight in preparation for the show. And what I saw was, number one, I'd forgotten how many penalties Beckham got. He got 3 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties.
Yeah.
And he got about made 3 quarters. A bitch, too. I know.
Yeah, and Norman got 2 of them. But from and so that was ridiculous. And under today's NFL rules, Beckham would be tossed, long before that happened. But from a play standpoint, I thought Norman held his own for the most part against Beckham.
Right.
The very first play was the worst. Beckham was on a long, skinny post, almost a fly pattern. He didn't break very much at all. And he just torched Norman, bad, beat him by 3 yards, dropped the touchdown. But other than that play, the second play was a comeback route, underneath, caught the ball fine, or dropped the ball again. Every other play that Norman was on him that he caught a ball was all short passes. The other long play that Beckham had in that game was out of the slot, and Norman was playing outside, so that wasn't his man. Norman played a lot of press man against him in that game, and did pretty well. It was a very physical game. So I think, the analysts are saying, that Beckham's athleticism can beat out Norman, but Norman was so physical in that game that he kind of overcame Beckham's superior athleticism because he played him so physical.
I think we're going to be disappointed in this game in regards to the drama and hype between the two of them. I think this is going to be. I think we're all going to be disappointed because it's not going to be like that last game. I think it's just going to be straight, them playing football. I don't think they'll be jarring back and forth a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as that last game was.
No one's going to throw a punch like last time.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I was honestly shocked that the Giants coaching staff let him keep going out there because Beckham was so out of control for about the first 3 quarters.
I'm surprised the
he's the favorite child
going out there. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
We've seen guys get ejected for spitting on each other, and when one guy starts throwing punches in the middle of the game, he doesn't get kicked out.
Yeah, but point is, before we digress too much on last year, the point is that's the story. The rumor out of Redskin Park again was that the game plan is to have Beckham or have Norman shadow Beckham all around the field except in the slot. And so if we see that, hopefully, I think last year's game gave us a good indication that Norman's going to play him very physical, and, which will help. So
are we going to get? We certainly will. Are we going to get any pressure on Eli this week?
Well,
yes, we need it.
Oh, God, yeah, we need it. Is it going to happen?
Well,
Eli Manning has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year so far.
And one thing you I don't know if you've watched, but one thing that's obvious is they're doing a lot of quick passing, so pressure is going to be really tricky to do.
Yeah.
They don't have Eli throwing 50-yard bombs down the field right and left. He's doing a lot of short stuff this year. So from what I've heard from real experts, it's mostly because their O-line stinks that they're just trying to get the ball out. But
yeah, well then we should have the prescription for that.
Their O-line is bad.
There you go.
And what you're talking about is why his completion percentage is so. He's got a 74% completion percentage for his first in the NFL.
That's insane.
He's kirking it up. Yeah, he is.
Beckham's yards per catch, 24.3 yards per catch so far. Which means he's getting a ton of yards after catch.
Yeah. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, though. And I'm terrified that this game's going to be his breakout game for the season. He'll probably
it's actually kind of it's.
Now you say that, Robbie, and you jinxed us.
No, I mean I'm serious. I know you are. It's what's the phrase?
He's due.
Jinx.
Yeah, it's the law of averages, or whatever you want to say. It's going to happen. He's going to score a touchdown, and it very likely is going to be against us.
Well, I think you brought up a good point. Beckham hasn't had touchdowns. They haven't scored a lot of points, period, actually. But at the same time, they've racked up a lot of yards. They've moved the ball up and down the field fairly well. But they just don't score points, and I think the reason is
their run
game. Well, yeah, their run game has been really bad. I mean, they're starting. Yes, they're starting running backs. Rashad Jennings averaging less than 3.5 yards per carry.
Sound familiar?
And doesn't have a touchdown.
Maybe
and so I think
Ben McAdoo looks like a clone of Jay Gruden. That's why.
Well, their red zone efficiency is a little bit better than ours, but it's not great either. They're ranked 20th in red zone efficiency. So they're moving the ball, and then they're having the same problem we are. They can't run the ball in the red zone, and they can't score touchdowns.
What's our rank in efficiency, red zone?
Ours,
I think 28. You said.
Yeah, we're 28th, and they're 20th. They're at about a 50%, efficiency, which is better than ours, but they're still not great. And I think the reason is their run game has been bad.
So God doesn't love either team, I think, is what we learned tonight.
Nope.
God loves the Giants more, though. I mean,
God loves Julian Edelman, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick.
They've improved on defense. Their passing game is racking up yards.
Sean, it could be a deal with the devil going on there in New England.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, and he's got Giselle, too. I think you might be onto something.
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something, bro. All right,
we've really gotten off the train.
Of course, we haven't.
God, you get to predictions?
Yeah, we're over time, so we should get to predictions.
Okay, somebody else started this week. I don't want to be the one to go first.
Okay.
All right.
Go first.
I'll go first. All right, so every time I think we've all predict sweeping wins each game. So I'm going to start us out predicting a loss to hope that that unjinxes us somehow.
Nice.
And I'm going to say the Giants win 21-17.
I groaned because it just seems like I'm, looking over your shoulder, honestly, Alex, because the score I had in my head was 2017. I swear that's really what popped into my head. And the reason is...
It's not the exact same score.
Yeah, it's a little different, but that's truly what I thought. And I'd love to predict a win, but, things haven't been going well for us. We're in New York. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I smell a loss. So my prediction was 2017.
2017? Okay.
Yep.
Rob, you want to go next or you want to go last? You should
I'll
probably
go last.
You should probably go last because yours is probably going to be the only intelligent one.
The rest of us are just guessing.
Yeah, I'm going to say just stabbing blindly in the dark. I'm going to go with this. Look, we cannot go 0-3. We can't. Everybody has got to be feeling the pressure and intensity of winning this fucking game. I think we're going to do it. I think Matt Jones is going to absolutely explode for an average amount of yards. And I think, Kirk's going to get his shit together and he's going to be able to put together a game that looks halfway decent. He's not going to be as, just purely shitty looking as he has the first 2 weeks. So I'm going to say we eke out a win here. I'm going to think neither team can seal the deal, so it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say 14-10 Redskins.
I have a very bad feeling about this game. I think this game is potentially going to be a blowout win for the Giants.
Oh, no.
I'm not confident in our defense. I feel like it's good. I'm predicting 35.
Oh fuck.
35-14 Giants. I think.
Oh man.
I think our defense is really going to struggle in covering. Odell with Victor Cruz and Sterling Shepard, who's been proving to be a really good draft pick so far for them. They're not going to run too much, I don't think. I think they're just going to air it out and maybe run some play action because we're, I guess, going to be focusing on stopping the run since we can't do it.
Right.
I don't think we're going to do very well on offense either. I think I'm predicting some heavy pressure from the defensive line. I think Kirk's going to wet the bed again, maybe multiple pick game. I'm not very confident in this one. And this isn't some jinxing thing. I just don't have a good feeling about this. I think it's going to be a blowout loss, and then everything's just going to go off the rails from there.
Well, see, you're not jinxing us, Robbie, because the jinx would be if we were 2-0 and
yeah.
And
I'm
saying
saying
our chances.
I meant like reverse jinxing, like predicting a big loss, so we end up winning.
We didn't even talk about Victor Cruz. I do think we're going to do pretty well against Beckham, but Victor Cruz is a whole nother story.
I forgot he existed for like 2 years.
Because
Sterling
for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Sterling Shepard I think he's going to be the guy who has the big game. It's not going to be Odell. It's not going to be Victor Cruz. I think Odell will get a touchdown. He'll have his play, but Sterling Shepard is going to be the X factor in this game for them.
Nice.
Because we have no slot, or not slot, nickel. Deshaun Phillips is going to get toasted.
Right, and he has no safety coverage to help him.
And with David Bruton back there and D Hall he's not playing very well either. It needs to be said.
No, he hasn't.
No.
No.
We could go on and on about who's not playing well. But anyways, Jay, you heard it here first, so listen to Robbie and do something because the prescription of this game is pretty clear. All right?
I'll say this, like in regards to playing well, the group that's been playing the best out of everybody is the offensive line, I think.
Yeah.
They're doing so much better than everybody else. Receivers would be doing better if they got the ball in their hands, or at least had a chance to make a play.
They haven't dropped a lot of balls. The receivers have not been dropping balls.
I'm not referring to that.
They've been getting open really well.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can't say anything bad about them because they haven't gotten the chance to do anything.
Right.
Really. Because
it's pretty much a Kirk problem in terms of passing.
When
right
they
now.
do get the ball, they do something.
He's literally the only ththing that's holding this offense back, in my opinion. Yeah. If he gets his head out of his ass and actually, makes a good decision and throws accurately like did last season, things are going to be a lot better. Mm-hmm. But
it'll get a lot better, right? As we go
really
into
quickly.
The Packers, Cowboys, Cardinals, Panthers gauntlet.
Right.
And that's the biggest disappointment because we needed to, come out of this like first 3 games at least with 2 wins.
Yep.
I mean, we could still do that. We win this game and win against the Browns, then we're 2-2, which is not terrible.
If we don't win against the Browns, it truly is over.
I'm gonna be at that game too. They better not lose that game.
You'll be close.
I'd just like to point out before we sign off that Alex was right about his Browns game prediction, because you predicted that RG3 would be injured and wouldn't even make it to week 4. And you were right.
Well, it's not like that's an out of left field prediction. It's a very informed, safe.
You're
prediction.
making me sound a lot smarter than I am, Steve. It was kind of obvious.
And I'm
I
the
also
fool
predict
that
the
bought
sun's
the
not
ticket
going to
for
crash
it.
into the earth tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Well, now you jinxed him. You jinxed him, man. All right. Well, anyways, folks, thanks for being with us tonight. We sure enjoyed it. And make sure you're checking out our website. We've got all that written content still coming out, so check it out. And also, buy yourself a free Norman shirt. Do it. Buy it as a gift. Wear it yourself. It's good stuff. We'll see you next time.
To be clear, the free Norman shirts are not for free, but they say free Norman.
Oh, yes. That is an excellent disclaimer. We don't offer things for free, folks. We don't even get
it. And help us out with the Jacoby to the Hall of Fame campaign, please. It's on our website.
Correction. I said early in the beginning of the episode that Jacoby Brissett was from LA Tech. It's not. He was at NC State, Florida, and NC State.
Gotcha.
We're trying hard to end this episode, and we just can't.
Sorry. I had to double check.
We're way over.
Oh, whatever. Hopefully, if you're still with us, thank you very much. We'll let you go now, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Later.